Good evening. You're watching the main news on HKIBC. I'm Chloe Feng. Here's a look at tonight's top stories. A couple have been arrested following the death of an infant found with suspicious injuries. A 5-year-old girl is critically ill as Hong Kong's daily COVID cases reach the highest level since April. And author Salman Rushdie has been seriously injured in a stabbing attack in New York State. A man and a woman have been arrested after a 3-month-old baby boy who died was found with suspicious injuries. Police said the couple took care of the infant because his mother had financial problems. Janice Low reports.
Just before 2 a.m., police entered Peony House West Block in Tai Kok Tsui after receiving a report that a 3-month-old baby boy was unconscious. But the infant was certified dead at 3:08 a.m. after an ambulance took him to Kwong Wah Hospital. Police arrested a 35-year-old man who went to hospital with the baby. A 24-year-old woman was also detained. They were held for questioning after police found suspicious injuries on the infant. There were burns and wounds of around 1 to 8 centimeters long.
The pathologist has examined the baby and found that there was some wounds on the right face near the eye corner and some burn wounds at the baby's left forearm, left leg, right thigh and right foot.
Police added that the burns seemed to have been caused by heat or boiled water. It was learned that the baby's biological mother entrusted the child to the care of the couple since last month because she had financial difficulties. The couple themselves have a 9-month-old boy who police said showed no signs of abuse. The case has been classified as murder. Officers will look into the possibility of child abuse and neglect, as well as the couple's mental status and motives. Janice Low, HKIBC.
Health Chief Lo Chung-Mao has played down the likelihood of doing away with hotel quarantine by the end of the year. But the government will consider relaxing Amber Code rules so that holders can go to places like hair salons and exhibition centers.
Health Secretary Lo Chung-Mao says the 3+4 quarantine system, now in effect, could see the number of arrivals rising by as much as 80% when more hotel rooms are available for isolation. But he played down the possibility of ending hotel quarantine or moving to a so-called 0+7 model by the end of this year.
I can't promise. Depends on the COVID situation. Everyone hopes to have more resumption of travel and economic activity, but we have to look at the COVID situation, and we have to remember that the virus is continue to mutate, and the pandemic is continuing to evolve. To say hastily that we will relax everything and go to a zero quarantine measure will be not practical.
Lo said there are now nearly 1,600 beds for COVID patients, and this is affecting the city's medical operations. But the government has to act.
Our first priority is to protect the health and life of our people.
Lo also said the administration will look into relaxing the current health code rules so that those on amber can enter venues such as hair salons and exhibition centers where people don't have to take off their masks. But more data will be needed first. The health chief said arrivals who will have an amber code while under medical surveillance must follow the rules and not take part in social activities.
New COVID infections in Hong Kong have jumped to a 4-month high. More children under 3 years old have been admitted to hospital, while a 5-year-old girl is in critical condition. Janice Low reports.
The 5,308 COVID infections recorded today including 160 imported cases, took Hong Kong's daily tally to its highest since April. Hospitals admitted 220 more COVID patients, bringing the total to 1,604. The new admissions included 19 toddlers aged under 3. Health officials urged parents to get jabs for their children after a 5-year-old unvaccinated girl became critically ill. She was admitted to Tuen Mun Hospital after a positive rapid antigen test last night. The girl, who has consistent fever, is in the intensive care unit. Hospital Authority Chief Manager Gladys Kwan said COVID may have caused the child's rapid deterioration. Doctors are still investigating if she suffers from virus-related complications, such as encephalitis.
Whether it is causing the encephalitis or other conditions, we are still doing the investigation. So at this point, it's quite difficult for us to draw a conclusion. But we believe there's a chances that because previously there is a similar cases where the child didn't have any vaccination, but when they have COVID, they are more susceptible to some central nervous system inflammation or causing the encephalitis.
3 patients, aged 85 to 91, were the latest to die from the virus. 11 patients are in intensive care. The hospital authority has drawn up contingency plans as cases increase, allocating the number of staff and beds accordingly. Non-urgent checkups and operations may be rescheduled. Meanwhile, from Monday, the Children's Hospital in Kai Tak will offer Sinovac jabs in addition to BioNTech. Janice Low, HKIBC.
At least 27 Hong Kongers stranded in Hainan because of COVID lockdowns have asked the Immigration Department for help. There have been more than 5,000 infections in the Thousand Island province, which is a domestic holiday destination. Flights to and from Sanya and Haikou have been suspended, affecting over 80,000 tourists. The government said it is in contact with the Hong Kongers and has been offering assistance through its Economic and Trade Office in Guangzhou. The mainland has issued its highest heat warning. Temperatures in Zhejiang, Shanghai, and some areas in the middle of the country are expected to hit 42 degrees Celsius.
With no immediate end in sight to the scorching heat, the National Meteorological Center has for the first time this year issued the red alert, the highest level for soaring temperatures. Even in the particularly hot years of 2013 and 2017, only orange alerts were issued. The People's Daily estimates that the combined intensity of this year's heat wave is expected to be the strongest since complete records began in 1961. Zhejiang, Nanjing, Shanghai, Wuhan, parts of Xi'an, Chengdu, and Chongqing are expected to see temperatures rising to about 40 to 42 degrees Celsius. The mercury even surpassed 44 degrees in a county in Wuhan province yesterday. Shanghai sweltered today under a temperature of 40.9 degrees, the 6th day it was above 40 degrees and breaking local records since 1873. A video that went viral showed some firefighters in Henan pouring water on colleagues who suffered a heat stroke after putting out a blaze. The heat wave is expected to continue for another 10 days. By contrast, some northwestern and northeastern parts of China are bracing for downpours. In the central province of Shanxi, at least 5 people remain missing after heavy rainfall and floods. And in Sichuan, a number of people were unaccounted for when floods hit the region this afternoon.
Award-winning novelist Salman Rushdie is fighting for his life after being stabbed in the neck and torso in New York State just before he was due to give a lecture. The author is on a ventilator and unable to speak, while a suspect has been arrested. Sachin Ketvi reports.
Oh my God! Oh my God! There was panic when a man jumped on the stage and stabbed Salman Rushdie at the Chautauqua Institute in western New York State. Members of the audience managed to overpower the assailant.
He actually went at him at least 10 to 15 times. Be connected fewer than that, 3 most likely.
Rushdie was treated at the scene by some physicians in the audience before being airlifted to hospital. His book agent Andrew Wiley said the 75-year-old British-American author might lose an eye. Nerves in his arms were severed and his liver was damaged after being stabbed. Police identified the attacker as 24-year-old Hadi Madar of New Jersey. The motive for the attack is unknown. Rushdie rose to fame with Midnight's Children, a novel about India's independence from Britain and partition with Pakistan. A later book, The Satanic Verses, angered many Muslims. Shortly after its publication in 1988, Iran's then Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ruhollah Khomeini issued a religious decree to kill Rushdie for blasphemy. The author expressed regret for hurting Muslim sentiments, but with a rumored $3 million bounty on his head, he went into hiding, emerging on rare occasions for literary events. Sachin Katpi, HKIBC.
Some of the documents seized by the FBI during a raid on the mansion of former U.S. President Donald Trump were top secret, and others could damage American interests if disclosed to the public. The nature of the documents became known after a judge unsealed the warrant authorizing the search of Mar-a-Lago in Florida earlier this week. Trump argued that the papers were declassified, but many were still marked confidential. The warrant suggests that the FBI was investigating whether the former president had violated the Espionage Act by holding onto national security information.
This guy doesn't have any respect for the rule of law. He doesn't have any respect for the Constitution. I mean, he is somebody who, lusts to be an authoritarian / fascist type of ruler.
What they've been doing to President Trump is political persecution. Merrick Garland has abused his position of power as the Attorney General to politically persecute Joe Biden's enemies. And the whole purpose of this is to prevent President Trump from ever being able to hold office.
On to the weather now. Finally, there will be some sunshine with a few isolated showers. Temperatures will range between 28 and 33 degrees. Now let's take a look at the weather around the world. That's our main news for Saturday night. Join us for more news at 11. I'm Chloe Feng. Good night.